Greetings, fellow sentient magic spells. Tiki here,
And Jacob Wile, too.
and welcome to another head-scratching edition of Tiki's Universe. It's the show where we react, review, respond, and recap all kinds of various animated shows, including Steven Universe, Star vs. Force of Evil, and Milo Murphy's Law. Oh, yeah. So, Jacob...
DuckTales.
Soon to come. Soon to come. Jacob, this is a head scratcher of an episode, man. Like, I'm not sure if I hate this episode or I love it in its audacity.
I can see what you mean, but for the award for best episode title goes to...
Spider with a top hat!
Yes.
Jacob, there are times where I just flat out hate this episode. I'm not going to lie. I think a lot of the energy is way over the top, especially the scenes where he's like trying to wake the people up with the caffeine bubbles or whatever, and he's just going like what you're screen sharing, like just like da 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 da. It's grating, man. It kind of has the syndrome of current cartoons, like some current cartoons, where it's just a little too in your face. It's almost kind of like Uncle Grandpa-esque in a way.
I haven't seen this like he isn't as an example, but I can see where you're coming from in some aspects.
I just mean just kind of like just some of the elements of this show, and maybe this is just me, maybe this is just like a certain aspect of animation that kind of turns me off. But when a character is like so loud and in your face, like the spider character is throughout this episode, it just, I don't know, it's kind of a slog. Like, I understand where this episode's coming from. This episode definitely has some points for creativity, that's for sure. Essentially, the whole premise is that we're following a bunch of the sentient spells inside of Star's wand. So that would include like the narwhal, the Warnikerns, the toothpaste blast. Just a whole bunch of different spells.
And that's the part I personally found bizarre. Like, these spells are alive now?
Yeah, it threw me through a loop, Jacob. I'm still not sure how I feel. I feel like this is like a metachlorian thing. It's like we went one layer too deep down the rabbit hole with this.
Like, it kind of works better when they're like just created out of nothing. Like,
yeah,
this really doesn't make sense. Like, if it was brought up before, I was like saying, if it was brought up before, I would have had more. It would have been easier to accept. But it doesn't really make much sense. Like, they're suddenly like, oh, hey, these spells are alive now.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I get what they're going for, but you're right. It would have made more sense if, like, even... I mean, we don't necessarily have to see them be sentient before this episode, but it would have been nice to see, like... I mean, like, let's say, for example, Jacob... I don't know how familiar you are with Harry Potter, but the Patronus spells...
Well, trust me, I'm very familiar with that. I've read the books, seen the movies, etc., etc.
Okay, so good. So with Patronus spells, that's an example of... like a spell actually having a personification to it. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
yeah,
it doesn't have to be like an active character, but it is very much like you can look at a Patronus spell and see like...
It embodies the person who cast it.
Absolutely. So I feel like that's more what this episode should have been like. I feel like all these characters should have kind of been elements of Star's personality. Maybe they are. Maybe we just have to look at it a little deeper. I have a feeling that maybe is what they're going for a little bit. What do you think?
Well, they definitely could have gone a different route if they're doing that.
If they're doing all the different characters are different elements of Star's personality.
Pretty much. They could have definitely conveyed that in a different way.
And then, by the way, we get into the whole inside-out territory of the whole thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, man. And just, I think the biggest sin of this episode, Jacob, is that I'm just not fond of this guy. I just, like, he's just obnoxious to me.
I don't blame you there.
Yeah? Okay, I'm glad, because I thought I was being maybe a little too cynical with that.
I mean, I personally don't find him that obnoxious. I mean, his whole cheering up scenes only happens a couple times, but...
But when it happens, it's so in your face, though.
When he's like,
look at me, da-da-da-da-da, I'm going to dance and sing.
But I think the point of the episode is like that's what he is, but that's not what he wants to be. That's what I took from it.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. I mean, obviously, the point of the episode is that he wants to be like a powerful spell, just like the Warnicorns or something like that.
Yeah, but yet he doesn't really like being this wake up entertaining guy.
So there is some good characterization behind it. I just thought it was a little too in your face when the episode first started. I see what you're going for there.
I agree with the in your face thing, but it also I kind of see. I just see that I just like the point of the thing I'm saying is like they contrast with like him wanting to be more than what he is.
Right, right.
Not that he's not obnoxious in those parts, but I think that's like the point. Like he wants to be more than just this obnoxious guy.
Fair enough. Fair enough. We do get some fun personification of some spells that we know, like the Narwhal is basically like this kind of this, I don't know, mentor type guy.
Who has a child with a butterfly-like creature.
Yep.
That's the thing. I have the weird problem. Is like these spells are suddenly sentient. They have families, and like it's just came out of nowhere.
They have families. They're like they're having relationships with other spells. Yeah, it's.
Yeah, I like the concept and all that. It's just like concept versus execution.
Yeah.
I mean, like the idea of, I mean, perhaps for creativity, the idea of sentient spells is a great idea.
I will say the Warnicorn was really fun in this episode.
Yeah, like something like sentient spells. Really, I've never really even seen that be done before. Which is like it's a very creative idea. I'll give it.
Like I said, the closest thing I can compare it to would probably be the Patronus in Harry Potter, but even that's not really sentient.
Yeah, that's more of like an extension.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Maybe this idea could take us down some exciting roads. Like, who knows? Like, maybe we'll see more of this.
Yeah, but at the same time, it just kind of like opens up another wrinkle within the show where it's like, are we really sure we want to go down this route now of having to cover like the day-to-day lives of the spells inside the wand along with everything else that's going? I mean, I'm sure it'll pay off and lead to something. It's just like I said, it almost feels like it's one layer too deep down the rabbit hole for me.
Yeah, it's like it was never brought up in anything. Like Gloswick's never mentioned that. Just like
right.
Like if you think Gloswick would have said something, hey, your spells are alive.
Or even like your spells have a personality all their own, or something like that. You know what I mean?
I mean, the quote from a previous episode could have led to this, and was like, okay, so man, that brings this line into question. That makes sense.
Instead, it's just like, yo, I'm the spider, and everyone's alive in this wand. We're all hanging out. Yeah, we have like weird caffeine bubbles.
Yeah, it's kind of jarring, but I think what a lot of people like it like exists in a pocket dimension. Like they're called to the wand, like, and the wand itself like calls them there or something.
I mean, I could see that kind of like a Pokeball.
Yeah, like they're not actually inside the wand. They're just like they just come to the wand.
Yeah, I mean, either way, it's an interesting concept. Like you said, concept over execution, really. Let's talk about the ending, though, because the ending did have some pretty cool bits to it. Because we see, like, what is it? It's like some sort of, like, how would you describe the creature that's attacking them?
Giant furry thing with teeth.
A giant furry thing. Yeah, it's like a wolf or something, I want to say. Like a giant wolf.
With teeth, yes.
Yeah.
It's not really explained what it is. It's just that it's attacking Star and Marco, and they're having a lot of difficulty.
I do like how this scene is done. I like how I like the execution of like all the spells being called down and everyone starting to panic. Like, well, okay, everything's fine until she sends out the Warnicorn blast.
I wonder if she actually did the dance.
She probably did. I'd like to think so.
Yeah, probably.
But no, it's a good build up. I'd say that was probably the best scene of the episode when he comes out of the wand and then and then I don't know, Jacob, this is just another thing that just kind of comes out of left field though, is that, oh man, his hat just is filled with like these weird missile grenades and they have like, it's very violent. And like all the shells, like I love how the gun shells are like little tiny top hats.
Yeah, that just kind of did come out of nowhere. Like he could never do that before. Like if you're trying to show a ton of spell heals, why didn't he do that? Maybe it's like something he didn't realize he could do until he needed to do it. Maybe that's the thing.
I'm
think that's
not
why
down
Star
with this episode, Jacob. Like, the more we're talking about it, the more I'm just not down with it.
maybe that's why Star called it the strongest spell she has.
I guess so. I guess so. That makes sense. Sure.
Like maybe he has more. I think I think the point of it was like so he has more potential than he realizes. Like he can probably do more than
Right.
he thinks. Like that's
Concept
what I'm
over
taking from it.
execution.
Like I said, more of a concept over execution episode. I think it could have been done a lot better.
I gotta say, this is veering towards like my least favorite of the series, and I hate to say that for an episode with such a creative premise like this. I really do, but there's just not a lot of it that's really entertaining to me. It's all very interesting. It's just not really portrayed the right way. A lot of things feel off to me about it.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Like the
Yeah,
whole concept feels rushed. It just feels like so much to take in when we've not really been foreshadowed about this at all. I mean, I'm curious to see where they go with it, but at the same time, I honestly wouldn't be sad if we never saw spells like this again, if we just went back to the status quo with spells. So, in that way, Jacob, I do think like unless they're building to something bigger, like unless the spider with the top hat's getting a bigger story arc, I think it's kind of a throwaway.
probably like they need something else to fill in a Halloween thing. They just put it in here.
I guess so. I guess so. And it is kind of it's a unique thing to fill in with a Halloween. So that props to them, I guess. It's just it's really down there with my least favorites though. It's not one that I'm going to be coming back to.
I still think it beats Red Belt.
It beats what?
Red Belt.
Red Belt. Yeah, but at least Red Belt had good character development for the Sensei character, though. That's the thing. At least Red Belt developed we don't know if any of these guys are going to be relevant at all again.
I know, but I still think this beats it.
Okay, fair enough. All right, folks. If you guys like this episode, by all means, we're not trying to be down on it. We're just kind of stating our opinions and saying our initial reactions to everything. It's a lot to take in. So, folks, if you have comments or explanations for stuff or anything like that, if you want to defend the episode, by all means, I'd love to hear it. Jacob, any final thoughts? I'm sorry.
I don't downright hate this episode. It's just like there's like kernels of brilliance here, just that didn't pop.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
If you get my analogy.
So is that your go ahead.
Yeah. The kernels of brilliance that didn't pop into fruition.
Okay, yeah. Jacob, I pretty much agree with what you said. It's a lot of really good ideas. It's a high concept episode. I just wish it would have been done better. So
it probably been better as like a two-parter even. Probably could have done because like you said, it does seem a lot rushed. Like I said, it could have probably benefited from being a two-part episode even.
Perhaps.
I mean, I don't know, man. That even might be a bit of a stretch. But development of spell.
I really think the way that they could have saved this episode is just having more build up to it. That's really the thing.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of have to agree. They're just suddenly introducing this concept out of nowhere really doesn't make much sense.
Right.
I mean, I know a lot of shows that randomly introduce things out of nowhere. But they're not so in your face. Like they give a reasonable explanation as to why they're suddenly there. But this show's like, hey, these spells are alive now. Deal with it.
pretty much, unfortunately. So
I mean, like in no other episode did the spells even give hints at being alive. Like she's like, how many times has she used the Norwell blast or any of
Exactly. That's a good point. And
they're never even seen again. They weren't even being called back into the wand like they were in this episode.
Just doesn't stick well to landing. Okay, Jacob, I think we're pretty much just kind of running around.
Especially considering how continuity-driven this show is.
Right. So
I don't know. I mean, like you said, maybe we'll see something pay off in a future episode. If so, we apologize.
Yeah, that's about all we can do is hope that it pays off in the future. Either way, like I said, I don't hate this episode at all. It's just, Jacob, I think we should kind of wrap this up because we're going around in circles a little bit. But concept over execution. That's really the main thing to say here with this thing. Okay, folks, it looks like we're getting a little bit of a hiatus. Unfortunately, it's not going to be too long. It's going to be 3 weeks, and then we will be back the week of Monday, November 7th, Jacob. We're getting Into the Wand, which might continue this story, judging by the title, and it's definitely bringing Glossric back into the picture, finally. He's been sitting out a long time. I can't wait. I'm pumped.
Oh, yeah, I know how much you want to Glossric.
And then we get Monday, November 7th. It also is Pizza Thing, which is basically chaos ensues when Ponyhead and Marco go to get a pizza. And I like Ponyhead and Marco hanging out, so I'm kind of excited about that as well. I like that dynamic. So
Glossric and those two.
Yeah. So it sounds like a good combination. All right, folks. Well, like I said, I really wish I could be more positive about an episode that's so high concept. I mean, Jacob, if the folks want to listen to us praising the ever-living heck out of an episode that's very high concept, they should go listen to the Ludo and the Wild podcast we did.
Yeah, that's definitely a good, that's the one that could do high concept out of nowhere and manage to still be a good episode.
Exactly. I would say that would be kind of like the good comparison point between this. It's like I really wish this episode stuck more to that kind of format. But in the meantime, folks, thank you for watching. We will definitely be back with Milo. Until then, I'm not sure when Milo's going on hiatus, but hopefully it won't be between now and when Star comes back, so we can keep up the content. Also, we'll be going over Wander Over Yonder, slowly bringing that back. I know that's been kind of slow to the pickup after we finished the first half of Season 1. But regardless, we're plowing along, and I really appreciate that these animated recaps have really caught on with this channel. And we plan to do a lot more of them. Yeah, so thanks for joining us, folks. And remember, don't forget things are going to get a little weird and a little wild. Once again, because I totally, things get really weird and really wild when I screw up intros. Right, Jacob? That's when things get really weird and really wild.
And also outros.
And outros. You're right.
We all make